Fast Track to Success. I am Lauren Belina Chang. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Growth here at Clinical Research Fast Track. What does that mean? My goal is to help all of our students in our classroom to grow in a very strategic way in clinical research. I am so excited because today we are joined by Adam Scott. Hi, Adam. Woohoo.
Hey.
Thanks for zooming in with us. I'm so excited to talk with you. I haven't seen you since our time together in our physical classroom. It's been
Yep.
wild. And that was November of 2018, if you can believe it.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was a
it's
minute
flown
ago.
by. Just a little bit.
Adam, I know since our time in the classroom, that was November 2018. You got hired in January of that year. I'd love for you to just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are before we get
Yeah,
into what you've been up to.
yeah. So hi everyone. Like Lauren said, I'm Adam. It seems like so long ago, Atlanta 2018. I know it's amazing. Yeah, so I was hired at Columbia University's Cancer Center in January 2019, and I've been there ever since. Um, you know, when I was talking to the recruiter, my who became my manager, um, he really seemed impressed by the clinical research fast track part on my resume. I'm sure, like a lot of people, that was the only clinical research experience that I had at the time, but I was able to talk through everything in the interview that landed me the job. But anyway, I've been at Columbia ever since as a regulatory coordinator, then became what was a senior regulatory. Sorry, there's so many titles. I just have to go through them. Senior regulatory coordinator, I think maybe a year and a half or 2 years later, and then assistant regulatory manager. And now I'm a regulatory science manager. So the latter of the two titles were made up for me.
That's
So
like
yeah, this
they're like, "Adam, you're awesome. We wanna keep you. We know someone else out there is gonna value your skills. How do we keep you?" So they made up these titles and, like, this career ladder for you?
yeah, they kind of I just started doing other work and they're like, okay, we'll just add a title to it. And so this last title, I asked for science in the title and they put it there.
That is
So
awesome.
the
So what
benefits of sticking with the same company for a while, I suppose.
I mean, that's really cool, and, like, a world-renowned company at that. You're not, at
Sure. Yeah.
Joe's House of Research. You're at Columbia University and the Cancer Center. I mean, that is incredible. That is, like, people travel from all over the world to seek care, seek clinical trials there. And you're focused in regulatory. I think a lot of people thinking about clinical research don't even know what regulatory is. They think, "Okay, I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah, certainly.
or data," but, like, what is regulatory? Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure. So, with any clinical research, it's heavily regulated by the FDA. There are various requirements with institutional review boards, other committees, things like that. There's heavy emphasis on maintaining regulatory documents that just shows that we're conducting the clinical research within compliance with all of those review boards and committees and whatnot. So it sounds boring, but let me tell you, it's fast and rigorous work. Especially at Columbia, we manage just in the cancer center over 500 trials. So it's yeah, it's pretty cumbersome, but
That's a mind-blowing number. I mean, I
it
love that
is.
number, right? More trials, more lives touched. I
Yep,
mean,
and
oh
it
my
grows
god,
all the time.
that's incredible.
Um, it's when you get to that many trials, you really kind of diversify the work. So there are clinical research nurses, there are clinical research coordinators, which only literally coordinate the patient schedules and make sure everything's in line with consenting and whatnot. And then regulatory coordinators who literally just work on the IRB submissions and FDA submissions and things. So, in some smaller centers, people may be doing all of those things. But in a big one like this, it's usually pretty specified.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and I love that you've worked your way up into this managerial position, you got your team under you. I always like to equate regulatory as, like, the story of the trial for the FDA. If the FDA comes in and they're like, "How did this study run at Columbia? How did the study run here or there?" It's like, "Hey, here's all of our documentation. This is all above board. We did it exactly right. This is what we did." The FDA is like, "All right, we can trust what you did because you got all that documents." That's awesome.
Exactly.
Well,
Yes.
congratulations. That is really exciting on all those promotions. You kind of worked your way into it. You're like, "Look, I'm doing the work anyway. I need the
Yeah.
title." Pretty cool.
That's how it goes. Yep.
That's
So
awesome.
I wear a few hats right now, but it's one title. So
That's cool. Well, that is
yeah.
awesome, Adam. So wait, remind me, what was your background before? You were kind of more like in the lab and not really in this clinical realm of research, right? How
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I in undergrad I did biochemistry and a physics minor. So, totally out of the realm of regulatory for clinical research, but hey. And I just enjoyed learning about science. I was in the wet lab. I was doing things like that. And so when I graduated in 2016, I started working in a wet lab for Q squared solutions, which a lot of clinical research people will know is a pretty large CRO. When I got the job, I had no idea what clinical research was. Um, all I knew is that I was getting thousands and thousands of blood samples to pipette into tiny little wells at very specific volumes. So, I joke that my thumb still clicks from all the pipetting. So, still to this day, we're talking 6 years later.
I bet.
Um, so I mean, that among other reasons are why I wanted to really get out of the lab. When you dive headfirst into the sciences and stay there, it almost seems like PhD is really the only route. Which learned pretty quickly wasn't in the cards for me. I got a job working under an investigator in cancer, because it's a cancer center. And that was just rigorous. I was a lab technician, but he was treating me like a postdoc. So I was, generating data for 6 papers at the same time and just in the lab for 12 hours. And that's when I knew I did
Right.
not want to be a PhD. So um
I'm glad
yeah,
you figured that out early, you're not in a PhD program, putting in all that time, work, energy, getting paid like, $20,000 a year to do all
yeah,
that work.
literally. I'm talking with the postdocs I'm working with. I'm like, we're doing the same work. We're getting paid
Right,
the same amount. You're just way more stressed than me. So
right. Oh my god,
yeah,
so
not to put anyone down if they're seeking that route. I'm
right,
sure it's
yeah.
very
Hey,
rewarding, just
uh,
not for everyone.
I'm glad some people, that's their goal, that's where they thrive, but so
Right.
what it was in during that time when you realized like, "Hey, I kinda wanna get out of the lab." So what made
Mhm.
you transition into the clinical side of research?
Yeah, so I had generally learned about clinical research through getting into like method development and validation of these assays, which kind of led me to look at the clinical protocols a little bit more. And I'm like, wow, this is a huge effort, and there are various sides of this. And I wasn't particularly looking towards regulatory when I did clinical research fast track, but I knew I wanted a change in career. And it seemed like a huge field. So with lots of opportunities, especially, which I found out pretty quickly into the program too, the way you guys kind of laid it out. So yeah, I'm happy I did it.
That's awesome. So, okay, so you made this career change, you went into regulatory. Don't worry, I won't tell Columbia your answer to the next question, but
Oh
what do
boy.
you when you grow up?
Can you say that again?
What do you wanna be when you grow up? Like, where do you have
Oh,
goals? Where do you wanna go beyond this? Do you wanna, work for the FDA someday? Do you wanna get into, like, a CRO or pharma? Do you just wanna, like, be head of research services at Columbia? Like, what's your retirement job?
yeah. I mean, I love being in academia at the site level. It's very rewarding. You work very closely with investigators and PIs, who are, at Columbia, especially on the front end of this kind of research. And working with them is really rewarding for me. Um, I people that are more clinically oriented, in oncology, it's some of the most difficult work you could do, with patients, both emotionally and logistically, really. But it's also some of the most rewarding work. When trials work, just few and far between. It's amazing. And then you see a drug get FDA approved, and you're like, I worked on that trial. But where I want to be, really sticking it out at Columbia, and like the past two promotions, whatever they want me to do, as long as I get rewarded by seeing it work, really. Seeing us improve how these trials are functioning here. I would love to stick with the cancer center and just work my way up to help out any way I can, really.
Wow, that's beautiful. I mean, my heart's always been with site level research. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road, those
Yep.
protocols are executed. I mean, nothing against CROs, pharma, vendors, everyone in between, right? It takes all of us to make this work. Um,
Mhm.
but when you're there, those participants, those patients become participants at that site. I mean, it's just incredible. And I know you're more behind the scenes. So even through your behind the scenes work, when you're feeling that energy, the enthusiasm, just the physician saying, "We can do this, like, we're working toward a cure, we're working toward better treatments." I mean, that's incredible. Which leads me to my next question. I want a career highlight, like, what's something you're so proud of that you've done so far?
So, with my recent uh title change, I'm overseeing the Cancer Center's Protocol Review and Monitoring Committee. So we're an NCI designated comprehensive cancer center, and that comes with various requirements to get all that money, right? And a big part of that is this PRMC, we call it. They call it PRMS, same thing. And so it can be thought of as a scientific review committee. Any protocol that comes through the cancer center that we're considering opening at our site, it gets reviewed by our oncologists that are on the committee. We're incorporating patient advocacy reviews in that as well, so they could be more patient focused. Nurses, population science, those sort of things. So taking on that role has been really rewarding for me, because you seeing these decisions made, and all the thought that goes into these trials. It's very rewarding.
That's great. I'm sensing a theme here. You're an overachiever, aren't you? Yeah,
I don't know about
I'm
that.
sensing
Yeah.
my job description. I'm gonna keep expanding it. I love it. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember this exact quote. It's like, "Do more than what you're paid for, and soon you'll be paid more for what you do," or something along those lines. I
I
feel
haven't
like
heard that
you're gonna
one, but
I'll
yeah,
have to
I
look
can
up the
attest to
exact quote, and I don't know who said it. I can't even give proper credit here, but, if you're watching this, go home, look it up, give
that.
proper credit where it's due. Kind of, I don't know, that feels like the theme here where you're, like, striving more, doing more, and then people are saying, "Wow, Adam, you're rocking it. Let's give you that title promotion. Let's keep you here." That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do a fun little thing. We're almost done. I actually can't believe our time together is almost up, but I'm gonna do a flashback to class. Oh my gosh,
Oh
do
my
you
gosh.
remember this picture
Oh.
being taken? That's you, you have longer hair.
Yeah, yeah, I actually just got a new haircut since then.
Looking
I've
good,
been
I
rocking
like
that
it.
one since I was
Oh my gosh.
16 years old.
Do you remember this? Oh, look, there's our instructor, Kiki
Oh,
Diorgu.
I do remember Kiki. Yeah, he was one of my favorites, actually.
Oh my gosh, do
Yeah.
you remember we were, like, lining the walls, this little
Yep.
this terminology with everything line it looked like we were, like, plotting to, like, rob a bank or something. Uh,
Yep. And I see my friend, I think Camilla there, second from
uh-huh.
the
Oh,
left.
yeah, there she is.
Her and I stayed in touch a little bit, and
Cool.
yeah, yeah, this is great. I mean, I have you guys incorporated in-person classes again, or are you guys remote, or how's it
So
going?
we are remote, and it has been actually, at first it was like, how do we make this work? Because as you know, in our classroom, and I want to hear from you a little bit on this, but like you cultivate a bond. Like it's cool that you and Camilla even still keep up. I know she's gotten some promotions since our time in class too and been kind of thriving, but it's we were worried going online. Like, how are we going to be able to do this? But we are actually now able to reach an incredibly broad audience because right, you Adam, how you had to be able to travel to Atlanta to take
Yeah.
class. And Camilla came from Chicago, and we had Lindsay from Arizona, and everyone's coming from everywhere. And you have to have a lot of resources and support and additional kind of things to be able to facilitate that. Whereas now, it's kind of great because people can zoom in from their living room or, their home office, wherever, and kind of make it work. So we're able to reach a much broader audience
Yeah.
while still creating that bond. Like it's wild how close our students get on Zoom. But what are some highlights from the classroom or like just some fun times you remember? Or maybe you're like, oh, I blocked it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so long ago. I was looking for my notes from back then, but I'm in the process of moving, so unfortunately they're buried somewhere. But um, I remember trying to record my video for my resume, my video resume. It was suggested that we kind of make make ourselves more approachable by showing that we're real people, right? And we were in the hotel conference area at the hotel and just recording it over and over again because we couldn't stop smiling and laughing. It is an awkward process. I don't know if you still suggest that. And I think it's a great idea, but it took so long to get a good take. But it was a very fun process.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. People would like work in pairs. You have your
Yep.
cell phone, and for those of you unfamiliar, video resume, you kind of bring yourself to life. You're more than that piece of paper resume, and
Yeah.
just explain a little bit who you are, what you're bringing, your skill set. And I remember because that hotel in particular was like very echoey, and so it's
Yes.
very easy to like pick up someone else's audio, and so it's kind of a good
We
warm
went
up.
outside, we went down the street, we
Like there's
tried.
like birds in the background. It's kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is funny. Oh my gosh. Well, that feels like just yesterday. But all right, Adam, I want to be cognizant of your time. I know we're almost done, but I have just a couple questions, and we're going to go into what we call our lightning round.
Oh boy.
I know it's gonna be super fast paced, just like Fast Track. I want you to just share first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so and we kind of touched on this one, but I'm going to do it again. Favorite moment on the job so far?
I'll choose a different one. It, it was my first year here. I was chasing down an investigator in the cancer center. He was running down the elevator. Um, People might learn about compassionate use INDs with the FDA. If you have a drug that's not approved, but an investigator thinks that it would be beneficial for a patient, you can apply to the FDA to use it. It's usually a very fast-tracked process because these patients are in critical condition, especially with cancer. And I needed the signature to submit it to the FDA, and I needed it now. So he's going down the elevator. I'm diving to stop it. It's the elevator's full of patients, the hallway's full of patients. And I'm like, I
Like,
need.
oh no, what is happening? Who's this guy
I
diving
was
into the
trying to
elevator?
show it to him across the hallway. It said IND on it. And I'm like, come here.
Yeah.
But I
Did
got
you
it
get the
and
signature? Did you get it?
got the signature. Yes, yes. So, for those of you who think regulatory is boring, there's an example for you.
It's not boring, and you actually get your cardio, you get your steps in.
That's
Oh,
right.
oh my gosh. And compassionate use, I mean, that can literally be life or death. I mean, that's
Yeah.
incredible. So,
I mean, that
wait,
patient stayed on that drug for over 2 years. So there you have it.
oh my, that's incredible. All because
Yep.
you ran down that investigator. You
Yeah,
risked
we
your
all had a
own
part.
arm to reach into that elevator to get that signature. I
That's
love
right.
it. That's awesome. All right, most surprising moment on the job.
Surprising. I guess once I got one of these promotions, seeing all the effort from leadership as far as collaborating with other centers, especially New York City, we have like four major cancer centers here. I thought everyone would be in their own little boxes, but really it's a huge collaboration. Everyone wants to do everything better, right? And others have ideas that we don't. So that was really impressive to me and surprising, I suppose, to see all that collaboration and to be a part of it.
Awesome. It's a team sport. I love
Yep.
it. Medicine, team sport. All right. Impact do you want to make through your work?
Run better trials.
Boom.
Really,
Period. Done. Love
period.
it.
Done.
Run better trials.
Clean data.
Adam Scott, run better trials. Love it. All right, Adam, one last question for you, and then we'll let you get back to your regularly scheduled day job, just saving lives left and right. What advice do you have for people who are new to the industry, who are brand new, thinking about a career here, or maybe just got their first job? What advice do you have?
Yeah. Um, it's a huge industry. I forget the quote you guys said, but it's a huge industry, small world, right? So, while you're learning, um, just use the resources you have from Fast Track, the people you met. I know I kept in touch with a couple people and just to see what they were doing and you learn a lot about all the different types of jobs that are out there. Just network really. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to talk. But yeah, my advice is network and just put yourself out there.
Adam, you are phenomenal. We are so proud of you. You have been fast tracked to success. We're so
Right.
excited to hear more about what you do. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Take care.